Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, this is Boisterous, come to you with some Grandmaster League Gosu out of the map Zelnaga Caverns. Down here in the bottom left-hand corner we have vileSpanishiwa spawning in as the red Zerg, and up here in the top right-hand corner we have LMntStallion spawning in as the blue Terran. And of course this actually is vileSpanishiwa. His name is just kind of screwed up because Spanishiwa is too long if you have the tag vile in front of it. So it's vileSpanishiwa. Anyway, we have both players not really doing anything exciting. And if you're wondering, because I've done a lot of LMntStallion games, it's mainly because he's the only person that submits Grandmaster games to me. So, you know, whenever I want to get that really high level of play out of a replay, I just go to, like, you know, one of LMntStallion's games that he submitted me, you know, 15 or 20 of, and I just pull one of those off the shelf because, honestly, there's not a huge amount of Grandmasters that I can choose from. So, if you're offended by that because you're a lower league, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get a good spread out of, like, the skill level of everybody, so I figured I need to do some Grandmaster games. And of course I have, like, one Grandmaster that sends games into me, and he's LMntStallion, so thank you, LMntStallion. Anyway, we have Spanishiwa going for what looks like is going to be a 15 expand. His money's getting up to that 300 point. He is sending his drone out to do it right now. I think this Overlord is moving over to a position where he's going to be able to scout any sort of 2 racks play. And we also have a drone heading up into the top right hand corner, so he will he will probably have a decent scouting of LMntStallion's base, especially because of where he put this first supply depot. If you put your supply depot there, it's almost impossible to get a wall off. I guess he could drop a second barracks, but that second barracks would be like the most suspicious thing ever. I don't know. I don't think it would really help you at all. As far as keeping any sort of tech choices secret, it would kind of just make some tech choices really not viable. Now, of course, with this refinery already down, that's the build that allows you to build a factory as soon as that barracks is done. So he is going to start that factory right now, and this drone is actually going to slip out because of the positioning of this factory. Boah. So this drone is going to manage to survive after getting some really nice scouting information. Spanishiwa's spawning pool is just about to wrap up down here in the bottom left-hand corner. He's not going for any sort of Ice Fisher build. I feel like that build has really fallen out of style. That, of course, was the build where you droned up to like 44 drones, and then you dropped gas on all 4 of your extractors, and it still works really well in, like, the silvery gold leagues. Down there, basically you can just flood your opponent with units at that point. And it's actually fairly powerful. I know that's how I got out of silver, was I used the Spanishiwa Ice Fisher build and just rushed Mutalisks after it, and nobody could contend with it. It was actually really kind of funny and almost overpowered, because even if somebody was like 4-gating me, because this was way back, this was like last summer, back when 4-gate was a viable build, it was, you know, I would just drop 3 spine crawlers and go for a roach warren and drop my gas early. But that's old news. We actually do have Spanishiwa getting ready for the factory because, of course, he knows it's going to be some sort of Hellion play because he saw the factory go down. So he is building up that Roach Warren, getting ready to go. The first 2 Hellions are on the way, but these first 2 Hellions aren't going to be that scary, mainly because they've already been scouted. He's pulling everything like he should, getting all the drones out of there. He's going to be blocking the ramp with his queens, which, of course, is the correct play. So basically these Hellions are going to see this hatchery and be like, well, can't kill anything there, and then they're going to try to run up the ramp, and the queens are going to block them. And now with the creep tumor starting to expand and connect both of these bases, it's going to be extremely easy for him to, as long as he gets some decent scouting information out of one of these Zelnaga towers, it's going to be extremely easy for him to do that again. And with these 7 roaches on the way, I feel like the danger from these Hellions has already passed. I think he should just switch this again. Maybe not even, like, give the tech lab to the factory, just lift the factory off, because I guess he doesn't know about the roaches. Well, now he knows about the roaches, but honestly, Hellions, once your opponent has roaches, Hellions are kind of dead weight. Usually I see a lot of Terrans, you know, as soon as they see those roaches, start switching off into the heavier mech. You know, those siege tanks, those Thors, everything like that, because Hellions aren't a viable tech against roaches at all. as you can clearly see right now, the Hellions aren't really doing anything. The main damage dealer out of this composition is the one Marauder he has. And with these Roaches breaking down the door, this is kind of a bad situation. Another Marauder pops out just in time, so he should be able to clean this up with not super significant losses. But honestly, losing so many units like that was kind of rough. He lost essentially all of his Hellions, which is fairly nasty enough. Plus he lost most of his Bioforce as well. He has 2 Marauders, a Hellion, or 3 Hellions now, and 3 Marauders. But really, that was not the nicest attack. Or, well, that was a pretty good attack for Spanishiwa. It wasn't the nicest unit composition to try to defend it with. But again, those Marauders were definitely the saving grace for LMntStallion. I don't know why he still has this factory on the reactor. I still don't really agree with this choice, because Hellions are, again, kind of dead weight. I mean, even against Speedlings, they're not super amazing, just because Speedlings are just as fast as Hellions, so it's not like Hellions can chase them down or run away especially fast from them. Of course, this defense is going to be super easy. I think that might have been a bit of a misclick, or just, forgetting about the Zerglings from Spanishiwa, because that was a fairly large force of Zerglings. I think that was 18 Zerglings they just threw away at the front of his opponent's base. Not really what you want to be doing in any sort of situation like this, especially when your opponent's one basing. I mean, you could use all of those units at some point in the future. Lots of drones going down for Spanishiwa. 8 drones right now. So that's going to bring his base up to full saturation. Yes, full saturation. So he's going to probably not have to make any drones after this. And he knows... So, medevac drop. So we have a 4 Marauder medevac drop, which isn't going to be amazingly... Actually, it might be a bit rough. Especially if all these Zerglings get cleaned up. If all these Zerglings get cleaned up, it might actually do a fair amount of damage. However, there are enough Zerglings left over that I feel like they can deal with these Marauders. Yeah, these Marauders, actually, they're nothing's paying attention to them. All these Zerg units are running up to the top right-hand corner. They're getting ready to launch an attack on the front of Stallion's base. You have another reactor going down for the factory, so I think this factory is just reactor powering at this point. I don't think he's going to be going for any more Hellions at this point. We do have the Marauder drop in the main being extremely annoying. 20 Zerglings popping up. They're probably all going to be... Oh, actually none of them are rally pointed. However, I'm guessing that all of these Zerglings are going to be running over to these Marauders and trying to take him out. But this hatchery is actually plummeting pretty fast. It's 750, but there the Zerglings pop up, and he's going to get them out of there without any sort of issue. And I'm fairly sure that the attack just kind of failed. It managed to deal a lot of damage to the Marauders, but it kind of just flopped. So I don't actually think it did any damage to any buildings either. So it really just killed some units. Whereas the medevac drop actually did a reasonable dent in the hatchery health, and if he can get another one off like that, he might be able to take out that hatchery, because he lifted his Marauders a bit early. I mean, it was definitely the right decision to lift his Marauders and get out of there, but I feel like it was definitely a little bit early. Here comes the 8 medevac, or the 8 Marine medevac drop. This is actually even nastier, because Marines, of course, have some of the highest DPS in the game when they're stemmed. They kill stuff really fast, especially 8 of them. So there's the stem off from the Marines, and they're coming in here, and they're going to start mowing down drones. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, I do believe. Now they're going for the hatchery. Of course, this hatchery is dropping really fast. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to help this hatchery out. Oh! He just... What? Wow. Jeez. Yeah, that was pretty insane. He just transfused this hatchery at like 15 health. Like literally 15 health. That was huge. Damn, Spanishiwa. That was freaking awesome. That was like so close. Now, of course, these Marines are going to be running in and trying to finish it off, but I don't know. The Zerglings are waiting for them. They're getting ready to go. So we also have the attack at the front door. So while these Marines are getting cleaned up by the Zerglings quite easily, actually, so the 8 Marine drop does fail. And we have a lot of Zerglings out, along with some Banelings that kind of just whiff. So nothing really major coming out from vileSpanishiwa. But he's just been on 2 bases for so long at this point in the game. It looks like it might be a bit iffy for him in the next 5 seconds, but if he lives long enough for his 10 Banelings to pop out, he's going to be set. I'm actually looking for where these Banelings are morphing. Oh, there they are. Alright, so the Banelings are coming down the ramp right now, and he's going to have to pull up. He's going to have to load up and retreat at this point, with the Zerg army, of course, nipping at his heels. The Banelings are getting ready to counter any sort of attack, and the medevacs are actually going to go up into the main to land. And here come the speed Banelings now. So these Banelings, oh god, that was quite a few Marines that just went down at that point in time. And honestly, Spanishiwa has been on too many bases for too long at this point. I don't know if LMntStallion can really catch up and come back in this game, because Spanishiwa's, or LMntStallion's main is essentially mined out. He has maybe 600 minerals left total in this mining base. That's kind of rough as a Terran player. He really has nothing left. I think this might just be game over at this point, just due to attrition. So yeah, Stallion definitely went for that kind of all-in one-base play, which against the Zerg that's known for being good at just hairline defenses almost, making just the right amount of units where he's like, okay, I can defend this just barely. You don't really want to go for that sort of all-in-ish one-base play. And we have LMntStallion landing at his natural. But here comes the mass of roaches, and these roaches are going to clean up his entire force pretty easily. They're just going to march right into the main base, and here come the 4 Banelings. He's trying to get the Banelings to go off on the Marauder, but the Marauder does lift up into the air just as these roaches come down. And yeah, this is kind of rough for Stallion. I think this is just going to be game over, because this is too many roaches. I don't think you can handle this. Plus +2 melee upgrade on the way, which allows Banelings to one-shot SCVs, I do believe. And that doesn't even matter. Their LMntStallion has left the game. And just look at this creep spread. Just real quick, look at his vision. Like, there was no sneaking up on Spanishiwa at that point in the game. And I actually just want to really quickly go back to that transfuse, because I want to figure out exactly how much health this hatchery had left. Alright, so it's just past the 300, and just past 40. I think it had 8 health. I think it had 8. So just one more time. I might do a bit of, like, stutter step pausing. And here comes the queen. Alright, so it's at 40 right now. 6 health. That is literally one more shot from a Marine. Literally one more shot. And I might pick this screenshot just because it looks awesome. But anyway, guys, you can head on over to boisteroussc2@gmail.com, or to submit any of your games, just send them on into boisteroussc2@gmail.com. You can head on over to youtube.com/user/boisteroussc2 to follow me, subscribe to me. Just watch any other games I've commentated. Of course, I put new videos up on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, and I commentate games from any league, any level of play. I'll even commentate some custom games, so long as they're melee oriented. I'm not going to commentate your like RPG game or anything like that. And yeah, there's going to be a Battle.net thread if you guys want to post any sort of support you have in there. And if you have any ideas for something I should do in the future, you can also post them down there. And I think that's it. So, Boisterous, signing out.